Understand something. Plain and simple. To me, Abigail was a delicious poison. An intoxicating, overwhelming poison. Yowie wowie!
What's up, everybody? We are back for another episode of Abby's Window, and we have a lot to talk about, but I want to start out before we really get going. And one of the major things that's been out there over the last few days is Barry Windham, who had was a massive heart attack over the weekend, Jody.
It was on Friday.
On Friday.
And currently in the ICU. Bray's sister set up a GoFundMe to kind of help with some of his medical costs. So any super chats that we get today are going to go to that. Also, Brittany K, for the next 48 hours, if you buy a piece of her art, she's going to donate 50% to the GoFundMe as well. So lots of prayers going out for lots of people. Obviously, Barry Windham, and I know Brittany's having a tough time right now too, trying to find somewhere to live. And so everybody pray for everybody.
Yeah, big prayers for Brittany and of course for Barry as well. Sending our love and respect to everybody. We're obviously grateful to have you guys here, but please send the love and support out there into to Barry and to Brittany as well.
Absolutely. And for the GoFundMe, if you'll see the link in the chat, as well as you'll see it scrolling across the bottom throughout the show. So if you feel so inclined, if you can help, any amount helps. Just give with a caring and loving heart. And anything is possible. So we'll keep, the family and everyone in our thoughts and prayers, and hope for a speedy recovery. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Deanna, for the super chat. Like Jody said, all super chats this evening go to the GoFundMe. So thank you for that. So we got a lot to talk about this evening. As you see on the screen, you've already heard from them, but we have Dom. Dom, how are you this week?
Good, yeah. I'm glad to be back. It's an exciting time, as always, to be a Brave fan. Exciting time to be right here on the Insiders, and a pleasure to be here with you guys. It's lovely. I've spent a bit of time with both of you doing interviews and stuff, and getting to know you a bit better. So it's great to be here with you guys too.
Yeah, good to be here with you, and good to have you here with us. Thank you, Jeremy, for the super sticker. We appreciate that. Jody, we always have to have our Abby with us. So Jody, how are you this week?
I'm doing okay. A little bit of a emotional weekend, but I'm doing okay today.
Well, we're glad that you're doing okay today, and hopefully this next hour, and probably a little bit of change, since we've been doing a little bit of Abby's overtime the last couple weeks. We'll probably do a little bit more this evening. Thank you, Shane Brown, for the donation as well. Greatly appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. I would go name by name, but again, it would take a while, and just know that we appreciate you all, and we see the support. We're humbled by it and grateful for it. So thank you all so much for coming out every week and joining us. So I know we've got some Caleb's Corner to get to. I know Jody has a couple things, so let's start out there, shall we?
Let's get
Sure.
warming my hands up for the,
So, as you guys know, he's still out with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He's been posting a lot of pictures lately. So those are just some from his Instagram. Looks like he's having a blast. It's so awesome to see him happy and doing what he loves to do. And also receive some pictures from a guy called Larry Johnson. He took a bunch of pictures. He went to the show, took a bunch of pictures. So thank you so much, Larry, for sending all these to me. He took so many pictures. He messaged me and said, I promise I didn't forget about you. So sent me a bunch of pictures from the show that he went to. He's an amazing photographer. The pictures are stunning. Obviously Caleb looks incredibly handsome as usual. And I think they have a break for a couple of days. And then they continue out on that road and continues with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra tour until the end of the year. And then pretty sure, I hope that he's going to take some time off. I hope the whole band takes some time off because I don't know, some of these dates they're doing 2 shows in the same day. And that must be completely exhausting. So their next show is in Lexington on the 7th. And I don't know if that's 2 shows in that day or 1, but I seriously don't know how they do 2 shows in one day. So I hope they all take some time off at the start of next year. I do know that Caleb will be joining back up with the Neverland Express and doing a show on January the 27th in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's also the release date of the remastered album, Bat Out of Hell, and that's going to be fantastic. It's the same release date, so I'm sure they're going to be doing merch after the show and hopefully hanging out with people and stuff like that. You can buy that, pre-order that album. You can actually get an autographed t-shirt with it if you spend a little bit extra. So January 27th, they'll be in Atlantic City. I will be at that show. And after that, he continues with Neverland Express sometime in March. And then they hit the road with going to the UK. So, and then I'll be at that show as well. I keep telling him he's going to get sick of seeing me, but yeah. So make sure that you check out Caleb and Trans-Siberian Orchestra and the Neverland Express. I don't know how he travels with 3 different bands. Dude's a rock star, obviously, but I'm sure that's incredibly exhausting. But we appreciate him for it.
There you go. Dom is looking intently upon the screen.
Yeah. I've been out of action. AFK, as the young kids say these days. I've been taking care of my Caleb Johnson. That fell flat, didn't it? That wasn't. I didn't. Oh no, I got you guys. I got you guys. It's good. It's good.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's good. I appreciate that you I appreciate the love. I appreciate the Caleb love, and I appreciated it for about 50 seconds. Probably lasted maybe a little longer at the time.
There's
a lot that goes on when those fancy screens that Jeff puts up, when with all the tour dates and everything, stuff goes on behind the scenes. That you guys you don't want to see.
Now you're starting to sound like me. I think you might have a bigger crush on me than I do.
I definitely have a little bit of a man crush. Yeah, you've stirred something deep within.
Caleb tends to do that to people,
and it's coming out. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
I
Business time.
I don't
Podcast.
know how to transition from that. I
We'll
don't
just
know how
say
to
that Caleb
segue.
has an absolutely stunning voice, and he looks damn good in a suit.
All right, there you go.
Joe's just walked in. It's like, what the
Just like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Here you go.
there's our first holy monkey.
Yeah,
Holy monkey! Hashtag.
yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So I know. So before we get into what happened on Friday, last Monday, we got a little glimpse of something with Miss Bliss.
Hmm.
I know people in the chat have been asking this, but do we think we'll see something more this evening?
Yes.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I don't think it's going to be what everybody thinks it is. I think everybody feels like this is a lot of people feel like, thank you, Eric, for the super chat.
Yeah,
and somebody else donated while we were talking.
Yeah,
to you.
Hanzo and Jason Peace. Thank you
Thank
all.
you. I think everybody is kind of hoping that they'll join back together. And I actually kind of think it's the opposite. I think he's going to go after her.
Yeah.
Michael is asking, do you think they'll make her any darker this evening?
Did anybody see that? No, we were all tagged in it on Twitter. Yeah, we were all tagged in that new T-shirt. Is that legit? The Lily T-shirt. Like, why are they bringing that back? If this isn't going anywhere, like, and I'm kind of low key a little bit more interested in this Alexa stuff right now. You know, I'm like, this is interesting. There's a lot of dynamics to it. So, but yeah, you're right. I don't think it's going to be sunshine and roses in Camp Bray and Alexa.
No.
Did they ever like come up with a joint like Bray Lexa?
No,
like that. Bray Lexa.
Did they ever come up with a thing? But yeah, you know, it's not going to be all sunshine and roses. I think he's going after her. But does he send somebody to do his bidding? You know, like that's because he's on SmackDown, man. Like the network, they want to keep him on SmackDown, right? So
that would be very Charles Manson-ish of him.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, Charles Manson-ish, we got a promo on Friday night, and Jodie, I know, said that she remembers a good bit of it. So this is where I'll turn it over to her and just kind of have her recall the promo of Bray backstage and kind of give his temperament and what was going on initially.
Oh, you know, he made a nice little dig comment about what we've been saying for weeks about people wanting instant gratification. You know, that we live in this world of technology where everything's at your fingertips, and kind of like that. You know, talks about, you know, deep down we all have those animalistic primal instincts, and it's inside all of us. He said that he was not the one that attacked LA Knight, and pretty much towards the end of it said that if it would have been him, we would have known because there wouldn't have been any of him left. And we got that brooding, you know, angry, intense Bray, which is awesome.
Wow.
I like seeing this side of him because it's so different from the Bray that I know. You know, the Bray that I know is a lot like the Bray that's in the ring, you know, that's sweet and, you know, a teddy bear. So this backstage Bray, you know, and it made me think of the movie Split on the way home. Thinking about it.
I wanted to get into that with you, obviously, because the title of this week's episode is discussing the different personalities of Bray. So this is a good spot to do this. So you mentioned backstage Bray. You mentioned how different he is. At this point in this story, how many personalities have you both seen? We'll start with Jodie and then we'll go to Dom. How many different personalities have you seen, and what does each represent?
Oh, you going to me first?
Yeah, you first.
Oh, sorry. I think we've seen 4
Okay.
so far. Obviously that first mask that we saw, that's a lot like the one from the Black Phone, which does not surprise me considering Jason Baker made it. Thank you, TJ Gilligan. I forgot about that little piece. None of us want to be known as freaks. And he said, that was what stuck with me too. He said, I heard you. And oh, how you rejoiced, how very animalistic of you, or how very primal of you. And I kind of feel like he was talking to Howdy at that point. You know, we've seen that little pieces that, you know, I know who you are, I know what you want, I know what you're trying to do. So I think we've seen 4. I think we got the first mask that he came out to when he returned. We've obviously had the Uncle Howdy mask. We've had in-ring Bray, which is my favorite version. And then we have backstage Bray, who's that angry, you know, really letting in that dark side of him.
Yeah. Yeah, that sadistic nature that just kind of oozes out when he's backstage. Dom.
Man, not too much to add to what Jodie was saying. Obviously, we've not seen Harper yet. And I do wonder if Harper is either the mask, the first mask that he bought out, you know, when he first came back. I wonder if that is a thing. Or if Harper is the last personality we'll see. Now, we've only seen 4. I wonder if the 5th has something to do with being on Raw. I wonder if the 5th personality, and I mean, like, maybe it's in somebody else. Maybe something, you know, maybe the 5th Wyatt personality doesn't have to actually be with Bray. I know this is getting a bit spooky wooky, and I know, you know, some people don't like that, you know, and obviously I've been quite outspoken about my distaste for it, but I think I wouldn't necessarily put it past them to do something on Raw with a 5th personality, and then have Harper be revealed as the 6th, unless they wanted to do Harper as the 5th, and then a 6th be released next year or something like that. But I would again, you know, I know he called me out. He called out the instant gratification people. You know, I want this to progress quicker than it is, and I'm sorry for those in chat. You can lynch me if you like, but yeah, I want it to progress quicker than it is, and I think that we're going to see. Again, I've seen 4 personalities. I think number 5 is either Harper or something else, and then the 6th is again either Harper or something else, and then we get the Wyatt 6 personalities, and that's where we're headed. I'm particularly interested, and the thing that interests me the most is what personality is that first mask, because they're the same thing. It's the same. It's an Uncle Howdy mask, but the eyes. And I wonder if practically, I was thinking about from a practical level, maybe that's why the eyes weren't there on Extreme Rules, because maybe practically it doesn't work to wear the mask in that way. So maybe, you know, maybe Howdy was there. Maybe that was Howdy, and Bray was taking the mask off. So yeah, interesting. But I think we get the Wyatt 6 personalities in January or around the Royal Rumble. All 6 will be revealed, I think.
I think I'm wondering if the first mask that we saw is just a different representation of Uncle Howdy. So it's possible that we've only seen 3 different personalities, because it, you know, maybe we get that kind of mask for each personality. And who's the ringleader? Who's the one that's ultimately in control here?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah.
Who's the puppet master?
Who's the puppet master? And is there something to that too? Obviously, when he returned, we saw all of the puppets come to life.
How many of the puppets were there again? And this is, you guys are all going to know this, and I just can't think. How many puppets were there?
I think there were 7.
Right, 7 puppets.
So we
So
had Abby, Ramblin' Rabbit, Mercy,
yeah.
Boss,
Huskus.
Huskus, but then in there we also had like Friendship Frog and Wobbly Walrus, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. The ones that came back though, there was 7 of them, right?
No.
So
it was Abby, Ramblin' Rabbit, Mercy, Huskus, and the Fiend.
Okay, so 5.
Am I missing one?
I suppose they had the representation of the burnt fiend, I suppose, but he wasn't.
So that's 6.
Yeah. So there was a representation of the burnt fiend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless Bray coming out. We're going a bit off topic here. Unless Bray coming out was the 6th. I don't know. That's the 6th there, you know, and then they're just disregarding, as they probably want to, the burnt fiend stuff. So yeah, interesting. I just thought, I didn't think about it, and then I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Negan Mox, thank you for the donation. Saying, I still think there's something to what you and I talked about, Jody. That may have not been Bray last week, and the thing with the tear in the eye.
The tear definitely means something, because he mentioned it at that. I heard him mention it a couple of times.
I saw that. It's in the video clip actually that you
with Brittany.
With Brittany, the Brittany took, And
so the tear means something. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think Bray is still doing all of the promo work. But it's a possibility that somebody else will play Howdy at some point. But I know that right now this is all Bray.
Yeah. I would imagine that we get some other characters in this portrayed by other people, because I know that there was some speculation that they want, that Bray wanted to bring back Rowan and obviously Bo. I think some people are even speculating Bo's already been re-signed. So I think if there is an opportunity for Bray and Triple H to create jobs for these people in this storyline, I would imagine they would take that opportunity.
Yeah, but there has to be. I mean, you know how it is with Bray. Everything has a deeper meaning, and he very often hides things in plain sight. And then you look back at it a couple of years later, and you're like, "Damn, how the hell did I miss that?" That's what he's good at. But at some point in this Wyatt 6 thing, there has to be a ringleader.
But
who is it?
Interesting, isn't it? It is. It's interesting. Like I was saying, I know. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate, and again, I know that you guys are going to get frustrated, and I apologize, but I think it is interesting because a lot of people are sort of saying, "Oh, this is getting a little boring now" and stuff. And for me, over on Give Me a Hull, cheap plug. When we do the watch-alongs, I'm watching the whole show. I'm reviewing the whole show, as you guys are over here. And from a TV angle, when you're thinking about pacing of a show and you're thinking about interest, the Bloodline stuff is just doing incredibly well at the moment. And the Wyatt stuff is kind of, it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And I think this is the time of the week, every Monday when I come here and I'm like, oh, yeah, we were saying this. I was like, my fan comes back in. I guess like on Give Me a Hull, we're sort of critiquing to a point the show and the television show as a whole. And so like my fandom is kind of lost because I'm like, oh, well, I was hoping for a Sister Abigail, or I was hoping for a physical altercation. But actually, that's what I mean. Coming here is kind of like, oh yeah, cool. There's little bits, that nuances I've missed. I don't know if anybody else feels like that. I want to put it out to the chat. Like, is anybody getting bored of it yet? And I know bored is an evil word here, but I'm not saying that I am bored. I'm just saying that I'm interested from a review perspective and a critical perspective what you guys think of how it fits into a TV show, I guess. But yeah, so please respond in the chat and let me know. Try not to hate on me too much. Yeah, I'm just interested in playing devil's advocate for a couple of minutes.
I mean, yeah, I think kind of like I've said before, his core fans won't care. And Stephanie McMahon came out and kind of said that she's attributing their increase in leadership to Bray. So that obviously means a lot. And yeah, it's interesting to note that the quote that he said about, if it was me, there wouldn't be any of him left, being a Manson quote. Or interesting thing about Charles Manson is he never actually murdered anybody. He kind of brainwashed people into doing his dirty work for him. So is that what we're seeing from Howdy? He's trying to brainwash to a certain extent other characters to do the dirty work for him.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I can't imagine that pitch would have gone over too well, though. I imagine if he pitched it in a different way. He goes back into WWE. He's like, "All right, Hunter, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring back Charles Manson, and I'm gonna do it, and everything's gonna be cool. We're gonna sell a ton of merchandise to all the kids. They're gonna the cult of Wyndham is here. The Wyatt Six, we're gonna indoctrinate all the kids, and it's gonna be fine." I can't imagine that's what he went in with.
And I don't imagine he would have pitched it like that. But Bray is a big horror fan, and I could see him being a fan of like Criminal Minds and that kind of stuff too. So I think he takes inspiration in little pieces from lots of things. But it's possible that might be one of them. Like, hey, that's an interesting angle that maybe the puppet master and the ringleader behind all this doesn't actually hurt anybody.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really is. But then who attacked LA Knight? Who attacked LA Knight?
I don't know.
Well, I think we should maybe dig into that a little bit before we get to the next part of what happened on Friday night. But I mean, he's clearly saying, I wasn't the one who did this. And he came out the week before. I didn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't me. Then who in the world do you think it is?
Well, I definitely don't think it's in-ring Bray. Unless, could it be in-ring Bray? Because Howdy is the one telling him that we all know that you're wearing a mask. So could in-ring Bray, as somebody mentioned earlier, be, a sheep or a wolf in sheep's clothing? Was it in-ring Bray?
Was it Bo Dallas? A couple of people saying in the comments. Interesting. James Chadwick did it.
Was it Bray at all?
James Chadwick did it. We've solved it. We've solved it.
James Chadwick. It was James Chadwick.
It was you.
He's guilty of it, so we don't have to look any further. So there we go. I just think it's very interesting that he keeps saying I didn't do it. I think it'd be interesting if at some point he said I didn't do it, but he did.
Yeah, because then everybody like, who's he?
Who's he? I just saying.
Who's he?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Howdy has this connection to the Fiend, and I'm interested to know where that goes.
Yeah. The interesting thing, though, guys, is and this is where I'm a little lost, is obviously 2 weeks ago we saw LA Knight go into the darkness with the Howdy mask. Now,
Mhm.
you can't tell me that he didn't see you. You know what I mean? Like those, like where he shows up the next day. He's got the next week. He's got his arm in a sling. Whatever. He has no idea who attacked him. You know, I'm like, hang on, mate. There's a mask there, creepy mask peering out the darkness. In all the, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Like you can see the mask there. You just walked in there and you didn't see this creepy mask attacking you. Like, you're not that stupid, LA Knight. You know.
Here's the thing, though. When you're talking about psychological warfare, trauma will make you forget things.
Yeah, that's true.
How many times have we seen it that somebody's been attacked by somebody else and then they're asked to give a description of what they look like and they're like, I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and
good point.
If Howdy is some kind of entity, maybe not everybody can see him. Maybe we can see him. It kind of goes back to that fiend thing. Like, have you let him in? You know,
but yeah, but
you remember that movie Smile? Did you see the movie Smile yet?
No, it creeps me out, man. Yeah.
So
I don't know if I told you, but I definitely told Jeff I'm a massive scaredy cat. Like I can't. I really struggle with. I freak out. Like I hit the ceiling.
So like only certain people can see things. So did he not see the mask because he hasn't let him in yet?
But equally, and this is a testament to LA Knight's performing skills. But he wasn't that scared. Like, that's what I mean. Like I would have bought into it more and been more interested if he'd have been freaking out. You know, he'd have shaved his head, or he'd have, started shaking or something in the middle of a promo, instead of, he's like, no, a drastic change, because he showed up on camera and he's like, I'm not afraid, you know what I mean? After being beaten up and destroyed, and he's still like, no, I'm gonna kick his bum, and that, to me, I'm like,
That's a typical trauma response too, though. Some people will run, some people will fight, some people, it's that typical fight or flight response. So, especially with someone like LA Knight, that character, like maybe his initial response to threats is to be like, all right, fine, bring it on. Like, I'll kick your ass. Let's go. You know what I mean? That fight response.
Yeah. And you make a good point, actually, because in that first slap, or the second slap rather, he did look like he, pooed himself a little bit as he was running away, and then he got confident again. But he was like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" So you're right.
And that, it kind of goes back to the biblical thing too. Like, if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. So if you come at something like that with bravado and, that fight response, you're going to learn very, very quickly that you are in over your head. And Howdy said something like that to Bray too, that you don't know who you're dealing with, but you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of Howdy, we got another video package.
Mm-hmm.
Segue.
Hey,
mate, that was smooth as anything.
Smooth as a baby's bottom.
Smooth as a baby's bum. What a segue.
Hey, I do what I can. Thank you. Hanzo, before we get there, Hanzo, thank you, saying wild shout. The person attacking him is the fiend. He never forgets. So maybe Bray is the fiend, attacks him, takes the mask off, doesn't remember, etc.
That's interesting, Hanzo. Yeah. Quality
And,
booking as always, mate.
Is that part of the story too? You know, does he remember? Does Bray remember? Like, if he's these 6 different personalities, does each personality know about the other? Or is it like a total blackout? You know, and people sometimes have, you know, when they sleepwalk, they do all these things in their sleep and then they wake up and I'm like, I didn't do anything. What are you talking about?
They have no recollection.
They have no recollection of what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite interesting. Jody, you want to take us through the recap of Howdy?
You know what? I'm a terrible fan. I don't even remember it. I remember like little pieces of it, but now I don't remember what he said.
It's a lot around the lying. The lying thing gets repeated a lot. That's kind of the central theme, is that Bray is a liar, isn't it? And I think that's what is most interesting coming off that phone number. I was kind of hoping for another phone number.
I want to know what happened to the doctor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. I do remember like seeing little bits and pieces of the, you know, old Bray. So we saw pretty much everything up to, but not including the Fiend. So we got the Funhouse Bray, we got Wyatt family Bray, we got pretty much most of Bray's career except the Fiend. So that kind of begs you to think, is maybe Howdy's the Fiend in a mask?
Wow, that's intense, man.
That
like,
is
the Fiend in a mask.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Spooky wookie hashtag. Thank you, Deanna.
Or the Fiend without the mask. No, because that would be, I don't know. What if Howdy's the Fiend with a mask? He's just wearing a mask.
EJ Movement, he said,
Thank you.
He said, do you know the man who lives next door? How well do you know your neighbor? Why can't you all see? I know what he thinks. I know how he feels. It's all fiction. Trust me.
I remember the trust me thing because that always reminds me of Jake Roberts. I know there's probably, I mean, there may be parallels there, but yeah, I thought that was a really interesting way to end it.
He thinks. I know how he feels. Is he talking about the Fiend there? And does he know how he thinks and feels because he is the Fiend?
Someone mentioned this earlier in the chat, but they said that the eye, this left eye, is the same as the burned Fiend.
Ooh,
very similar.
Yeah, I guess there is the black makeup there, yeah.
What if, now I'm looking at that picture, what if he's both? One side of him is the Fiend, which is where that more open eye comes from. The other side is Funhouse Bray that's trapped and in pain, and that's where the tear comes from. I don't like my tattoo.
I also want to bring something to, a lot of people will know this as music fans and just in general pop culture fans. David Bowie had 2 eyes that were different colors as well. And obviously Bowie is, the theme of Bowie is Bray's Twitter at the moment. And obviously Ziggy Stardust and Bowie, different personalities too. So there's some really interesting parallels there. And I wonder if, because that's how, not that we bring up his name too often, depending on what you know of the situation, but that's for years. Marilyn Manson used the 2 eyes different. He didn't have 2 eyes, the different colors, but he ripped off David Bowie basically because Bowie's eyes were naturally different colors. And I wonder if there's a similar tribute going on here, given Bowie's, Bray's Twitter and stuff, and the duality of personalities there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like look at the picture of my tattoo.
Hold on, there you go.
obviously Kyle drew this, which he's fantastic at it, but you've got both personalities in one face there. Are we kind of getting the same thing? That we've got two personalities in one face? And is it the remnants of, the Fiend and Funhouse Bray? Because when he returned, we got the Funhouse and the music was starting up again.
Yeah.
So is Howdy like what EJ Movement said, the ghost of the Fiend and Funhouse Bray? Is he the ghost of the Firefly Funhouse?
That's really interesting. Yeah,
that is. That is very interesting.
Maybe that's where the tear comes from, because
Well, let's go there. Let's go there. Where do you think the tear comes from?
well, if that's the side of like Funhouse Bray. We've talked a lot about Bray being trapped and Funhouse Bray being trapped. Yeah, AJ Movement. That's why Howdy debuted inside the Funhouse TV. And so maybe that the tear comes from Funhouse Bray is trapped in there. And his mind, he kind of talked about that too, like his mind being a prison.
Thank you, Negan Mox, again for the donation. The right eye of Howdy is the same as the Burn Fiend. Dom, what do you think about that?
Man, that's beautiful. What a fantastic sort of little nuance there. To me, that makes sense. I was just like, oh, it's because of Goldberg. He's crying like we were all crying when Goldberg beat him. And it's just never, the tear's never gone. It's never go. The collective tear of every Bray fan in existence when Goldberg beat him at Crown Jewel. So that's my comedic reason as to why the tear is there. But I think it's a tear for the loss of the Fiend, for the loss of what Howdy deems to be the real Bray, the true self of Bray. And Bray is trying to shut that down. He doesn't want to be that person anymore. And I think Howdy loves the Fiend. Howdy is the representation of Bray that wants the Fiend, that wants to nurture the Fiend, that wants to bring it out, to let it in, etc. And so I think Howdy is crying for the death of the Fiend, personally.
King Chris brings up a good point too. Howdy literally said that he was the ghost of the man who sold the world.
Yes. Yep. Ghost of the man who sold the world. I have another question for the both of you, and I'll start with Dom this time. Because this is one that I have written down here, and I wanted to get your take on this.
Cool.
Over the past couple times we've seen him, especially in front of the crowd, he's had to make it very clear, I'm Bray Wyatt. My name is Bray Wyatt. What if he isn't telling that to the crowd, but he's trying to convince himself?
I'm totally with you on that one, man. I think that's legit. I think he's struggling with all these personalities. He's struggling, against Howdy. He's struggling against the ever looming Fiend. Absolutely. The more he says it, the more it's true, right? The more it's why we do these positive affirmations, or we're encouraged to do these positive affirmations in our lives. The more we say it, the more we write it down, the more it's going to become true. So if if I say, if Bray says, I'm Bray Wyatt, then he believes he will be Bray Wyatt over the Fiend, over Howdy, over anything else. I thought it'd be more interesting though, and I know that Parts for Unknown did a really interesting bit of booking for this. I would have preferred it if he'd have started saying he was Wyndham, and then it turned into Bray Wyatt. And then so as the weeks went on, he started being I'm Wyndham, and then I'm Bray Wyatt, as time went on. But for what we've got, yeah, I think your idea there and your thought there, Jeff, is spot on. And he's trying to convince himself that he's still Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt is the dominant personality of all of them.
Jodie, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's a mantra to himself. I mean, Howdy said it best, revel in what you are. Obviously, he's trying to get him to see something different, but Bray Wyatt is who he wants to be. So he's reminding himself, that's my name. My name is Bray Wyatt. Like, don't let another voice control what you want to say. So I think it's totally possible that he could be reminding himself who he is, who he really is, and not to let anybody taint that for him.
Yep, I think that makes I think that's brilliant storytelling as well. Brilliant storytelling too.
I wonder if that's why backstage Bray keeps saying, "I didn't attack LA Knight," because he said it twice. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Did he do it? But he's trying to tell himself that he didn't.
That works. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Or he's having that internal monologue as it's going on. He's saying, I didn't do it, but he's looking around at the other people that inhabit his mind.
It's a very Fight Club, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
Very Fight Club. It wouldn't surprise me, and I think they risk, if it isn't this, I think they risk overcomplicating it, because I think it would make a lot of sense for him to be doing these things, but then not remembering it. I think if you start to bring in other people, I may be contradicting myself, because I do want jobs to be created for Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan and stuff. But I think the more people you involve, the more convoluted it potentially gets. Whereas if you've got a case of the old Fight Club, where he is doing these things, but he can't remember, I think that's interesting. And it's obviously a very successful and well-told story that's been done very well. So they know they could, if they put a slightly different slant on it, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Deanna brings up a really good point too. Think about the song, his entrance music.
Yeah.
It's, it's called Shattered. The whole song's about, when things break, things shatter. Something made him break. Something made him shatter.
Yeah.
And think about the chorus too. It's what? Lie for me, brother. Die for me, brother. Use me for cover. Like, obviously we know that this song was made for Bray.
Yeah.
That's why they wrote it. So, dig into those lyrics a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They might have some, interesting meanings. Love one another. That was one of the other lines too.
Thank you, Alicia, for the donation, sending your prayers, love, hugs, and support to the family. We appreciate your donation. Bruno brought up an interesting thought process here, saying, what if Bray is not struggling and he's making fun of everyone and enjoying it? He lies. He's going to fool us all. If you listen to him, a snake in a cage is still a snake.
Interesting.
What are you thinking about that?
I think it's very possible that, that's what backstage Bray is doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some really interesting, there's some good stuff in the comments as well, guys, about your thoughts too. Obviously, we are putting them up on the screen. I think, again, there's people fantasy booking, Vincent and Dutch coming in to help Bray with this stuff as well. I think this is all, fantastic. But I think, for all that sometimes we overcomplicate these things, I think if it is, the coolest thing they could do is to have Bray kind of do these things and then kind of So what's the other? There's loads of other horror films where they, these sort of people, anti-heroes in these films, like wake up with blood on their hands and they have no idea how it's happened.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
and I think that's a really good, solid trope in film and in television that can work in this context. Deanna's like Vince releasing him shattered him. Yeah, there you go. Brody
Yeah.
dying. That's really interesting.
Big
Yeah.
Dan saying, what about a future promo where Bray said something like, when I was a kid, my father was chasing
The
the
almighty
almighty
dollar.
dollar, first on Wall Street, then for the establishment.
Hmm.
That would be interesting. Eric saying, quoting, you can throw it all away when things break, things shatter, keep it written on your face, the little details matter.
And that's,
Yeah.
like I said, dig into those lyrics.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
Bray is he's a genius at details, minor details, things that you wouldn't even look twice at. Like he said about the Fiend belt. That there's numbers in there's like some secret message in the stitching, and when you first look at it, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? I still haven't figured it out. But he's a perfectionist when it comes to little details.
Mm.
He really is.
I also think it's very interesting because obviously Code Orange and Bray are quite tight. And by the way, guys, if anybody's not seen Code Orange, they are a fantastic live band. Got to speak to them many years ago. Just a really clever band. But have you noticed that they're teasing it too? They haven't released it on Spotify. They just keep teasing the pictures, and I wonder if that's tied in so that they won't release Shatter until something develops in the story. So like what we talk about, was it Harper's birthday, Brody's birthday? I wonder, because there's like little teasers on Code Orange's Twitter about the cover art, but also like a little more, was it a little bit more, so like making us wait. And so I think there's a lot of nuances again, and a lot of intricacies to this story that we're not even, we probably don't even know yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was just thinking when that flashed up, the white mask that's in there, the just straight up white mask. It looks like the Court of Owls, or a Court of Owls style mask for the Batman fans, DC fans rather.
Who else has
like-
been talking about owls on social media?
Hang on.
One Mr. Vincent and Dutch
There
been
you go.
talking a lot about owls.
Yeah, so to me it looks like a Court of Owls mask, but that was in the TV promo on at Extreme Rules. That mask was there, and I was like, okay, and then it's reappeared, so that's got to be significant too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Obviously Brody's birthday is on December the 16th. So is that when we meet Uncle Harper?
Which I have to ask.
Friday and a SmackDown.
A Friday and a SmackDown. So start with Jody, then we'll go to Dom, and I want to get the chat in on this too. I know we've talked about what we think Uncle Harper will represent, but what do we think? What do we think about that character? Like what actually, like, go a little bit further than we think he'll be the good. He'll represent the good. What kind of things do you think we'll see from Uncle Harper?
You want to go first on this, Jody?
I'm wondering if he's going to be like a compliment to in-ring Bray. If Howdy is a compliment to backstage Bray, is Harper going to be a compliment to in-ring Bray? He's the good side. He's, the funhouse Bray, if you want to say.
I like the idea of, we talked about it last week, and a lot of other people are saying it in the chat. The good angel, You know, like the angels and demons thing. Again, tried, tested, very successful movie, TV trope. If we had the good and the bad, we can all empathize, and WWE can sure as hell monetize good and evil.
Well, and they have been, like Gothic said, the hurt and heal glove. Like,
yeah, exactly. And I think we never really saw that with the Fiend, and maybe that's what they would have done down the line, the hurt and the heal. And this is just an extension of that. This is a continuity of that. Except we're going to see the heel glove with Harper, Uncle Harper, and the hurt glove with Howdy. So yeah, for me, I think Harper has to be the good, and I think they wouldn't be using the Harper name, I think, for a villain, just because for context. So I think for me Harper is the good angel. I don't think it'll be a physical representation. Again, we've talked about this. I think steer away from physical representations of Howdy and Harper. Maybe it's just stuff that pops up on screens now and again. But I certainly think that Uncle Harper could be the angel.
Bray does have that tattoo on his.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, that's what made me think of it. Yeah, it was when because I it's not like it's not as much as I love Bray and I'm a huge fan. I've not Caleb Johnsoned him yet. You know what I mean? I've not checked out every inch of Bray. So I didn't actually know about the tattoo. Well, I think I maybe saw it years ago with Husky, but I hadn't thought about it for a long time. So it's really useful to know that the angel and devil thing on his back.
What if Harper's not necessarily an angel, but like the voice of reason in his head? Like the one to remind him who he really is. Harper is the one, Uncle Howdy's the one that's saying revel in what you are. Maybe Harper comes along and says revel in who you are.
I like that. Hanzo, thank you for the donation, saying Uncle Harper, I feel, will be Bray's salvation, his saving grace, his guardian angel with a vengeance, the one who will rise him up to that level. Deanna saying Wyatt family, Roman and Harper always stood on either side. Relate that to the angel and devil that Bray has.
Yeah, I think that's the most dynamic way they could tell this story. Again, there's no chance of there's years of material in that too. If they're not bringing in Rowan and Bo and Dutch and Vincent now, they could easily bring them in 6 months. With a story like that, there's real legs to that. So the angel, the demon. I mean, they've made entire series. Buffy was an example that there's this supernatural. There's so many, and this is basically that, but in wrestling form, right? So they could, if they can pull those series out for years and years, then they can pull this storyline out for years and years, and hopefully that means we have the Insiders Abby's Window for years and years.
We'll keep it going for years and years.
Yeah, for sure. As long as people have us around and keep listening.
Yeah, for sure. Bruno saying,
by the way, if they use that revel in who you are, I expect royalties. Just saying.
There you go. Just hit Jodie up. You can set up payment with her privately. We don't need to know the details of that, but just
I accept all forms of Caleb Johnson as payment.
Me too.
I was gonna say Dom might join you on that one. We're having a little overtime this evening, so we'll stick around for a few minutes longer. Bruno saying, what if Uncle Harper is the one that brings the swamp cult leader Bray back to life, like when he returned against Strowman.
Mm.
Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, that would harken back to the Wyatt family and to Brody's involvement in that too. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Carly saying there's Ramblin' Rabbit, obviously, that knew about what was going on in the Funhouse. Luke Harper was the first son of the Wyatt family.
I think Ramblin' Rabbit knows a lot of things.
A lot of things, a whole lot. Hanzo saying it would be nice if the 16th of December he wore a Brody Harper shirt. There was once this brother who left to protect us. His name is Uncle Harper. I like that. Misfit Wrestling Podcast saying, I'm not saying they'll abandon the Uncle Howdy name, but is there a chance WWE never uses the Uncle Harper trademark? I know WWE has a habit of trademarking things and never using them.
I don't think so. Because I'm not, I think they're allowing Bray to tell this story and not really getting in his way.
Dom, what do you think, buddy?
First, I'd like to respond to Deanna and say, yes, I was strumming my own guitar to those pictures earlier on. Going back to that.
Totally missed the whole. So, okay. Guitar picks. Totally inside joke that played out on one of Tazzy's streams. We were talking about, photography and, certain people posing with a guitar, and that's it. It was Alicia's fault. She was talking about Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah,
when he posed like that, and I said something funny about
I did that with the Give Me a Hull Yeah belt the other week, just before I gave it back to Dan. That was a crowning moment in my my podcast life, was posing with the belt just like Shawn Michaels. But yeah, you have to send me those guitar photos, because I
said that's what we need to do.
I've been strumming my guitar to Caleb Johnson for a few weeks now. So anything, but going back to serious and professional, Insiders podcast. Right. So what do I think? In all seriousness, because I've got the giggles now. I've just started thinking about. But in all seriousness, yeah, I think having it be a tribute to Brody, and having having some emotion attached. Hanzo said something beautiful there about him wearing a Harper t-shirt or something, and kind of acknowledging Brody. And I know Seth Rollins did on a house show this last week, so they're not above. They certainly will do that. And I could see that happening. Something quite emotional on Harper's birthday. On that SmackDown, and then this leads to a character that we can identify as the good guy. I think that we can everybody, again, this is the first we wrestling is built on. That's one thing Vince McMahon has always been right on. Wrestling was built on good versus evil, bad versus good. But we just haven't seen one person do it. So there's something fascinating in that. We're going to see bad versus good play out, but with one person. And I think that's fascinating. And I think it would be a great opportunity to have Uncle Harper be this good guy that we can all relate to. I can't remember, talking about Fight Club, I can't remember the not the Tyler Durden. Tyler Durden is the Uncle Howdy in this. Obviously they're both the same person, but that's the point, isn't it? It's Durden is Howdy. Brad Pitt is Howdy in this, and then Uncle Harper is the alternative. So yeah, that's how I would want it to play out. But that's because I'm a fan of good versus evil. I'm a comic book nerd. I love stuff like that, and I think they could from a WWE perspective, from a merch perspective, man, like they got to be thinking about that too. There's good money to be made,
Mm-hmm.
There's a load of money to be made
Oh yeah.
from all this,
Oh yeah. 100%.
from every single bit of this. There's a lot to to rake in. It's just, I think for them, right, like letting things take their course and not giving in to the fans wanting to rush this along.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know some may not like that. I think if they play it out, just just as they're thinking, as they have it planned, if they do that, there's a potential to do some really cool things all along the way, as long as they stay true to the plan.
Yeah. I think they just need to, and I think they're doing it already. Just let Bray do what he wants to do.
Yeah. Which is great for us. So
Yeah.
long may that continue. But I hope that, again, I hope that the wider wrestling universe is willing to be as patient as we are. That's all I want to see. It's because I want Bray to have a long and illustrious career and to be able to tell the stories he wants to tell, so that we can still be here many years from now, strumming our guitars and talking about Bray Wyatt.
Whew, I don't know what Dom's gonna do when he sees a picture of Caleb without a shirt on.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
I don't know that we can say that before 10 o'clock on the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, it's 10 minutes past midnight where I am. Some stuff's
it's a beautiful sight. I'll just tell you that.
Oh yeah, cool.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, Caleb.
yeah. Final thoughts. We're going to maybe avoid the strumming of guitars and other things in the final thoughts, possibly. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But final thoughts. We'll start with Dom. What are you looking forward to most next in this story? And
Give me something. Give me something, Jeff. I need something. Give me a Sister Abigail. Give me like some kind of physical altercation. Like, I know we've already had one. I know we've had a headbutt and some slaps and stuff. But I want something to tee up, or even if it's not a match till the Royal Rumble. I don't, I'm not. Just give me something just to snack on, a little tasty Bray snack, I just want, a Sister Abigail or some kind of physical altercation on SmackDown. I wanted it last week. I didn't get it. Nothing to strum any guitars to. You just sitting there, and I get backstage Bray. We all like backstage Bray, but just give me something physical. Just give me something physical, Jeff. Give it to me. No, that's what I want. That's what I want. Physical altercation.
There you go. Physical altercation. Jodie, final thoughts.
I love Bray, and Caleb's hot.
Cool. See you guys. Great stuff.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Yeah. Nothing more I have to say after all of that. Yeah, this was fun.
When's that audiobook coming out, dude? Like you've had a week. Like, what's happening?
Hey, I need time. A little more time.
All right, cool.
A little more time. Maybe before Christmas.
My Christmas gift.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Christmas gift. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We greatly appreciate you all throwing out the theories and chatting with us. And this was a lot of fun. We'll do it again next week. And who knows? There might be more guitars discussed and other things.
I'm so sorry, but I'm not really. Yeah, it's been good fun. It's been good fun. Yeah. More strumming next week. And more Bray, obviously,
Yeah.
And more Caleb too.
There you go.
Send me those photos, guys,
There you go.
It's late. It's late here. You know, I got some time to kill.
He needs some nighttime material.
That's
So
right. It's cold here in Yorkshire. You know, I need warming up.
he's got to
You know?
warm up. So.
Hmm.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. We really appreciate it. We'll be back on this channel on Thursday for Impact Wrestling. But until then, have a good evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
So what do you say? You want to see my secret?